leaders. Welcome to the Tales of Teams. Today's guest is an HR thought leader and a culture alchemist with over 2 decades of experience across diverse industries, including IT, ITES, F&B Retail, and HR consulting. She brings deep insight into building agile, people-centric organizations at scale. Her career has spanned leadership roles at Reliance, Future Group, and she's known for her expertise in building cultures of innovation, leveraging HR technology to enhance employee experiences, and aligning talent strategies with long term business goals. Proud recipient of the prestigious World HRD Congress Award and former president of Iron Lady, an organization committed to building future women leaders. She currently serves as Director HR at Diebold Nixdorf, India Global Center for Software, the company's largest innovation and research hub globally. Please welcome Sajita Thomas. Hi, Sajita. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Usha, for having me here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. And we've known each other, I think, vaguely for a long time, but not had so much of discussion that we had in the recent few weeks. All right. Okay. So, let's start from the beginning. So, tell us about your growing up years. What was happening around you? What influenced you? And what shaped you in the initial years?
I think I can go back to, a very young me, where I grew up as the eldest of the three siblings in a very typical Malayali household. At that time, somebody from your house used to be working in the Gulf. So my house is not very different, with a father working outside of home and with a working mother. I
Hmm.
learned to be very responsible at a young age, or can I say that I really didn't have much of a choice, like every firstborn. Um, Supporting my mom and managing myself helped me in honing my decision making skills, to be better at time management. And of course, when you do things young, it helps you to kind of have your own style of leadership skills. And I can also remember right from a very young age, I was extremely high on energy. Very
Mhm.
difficult for making me sit in a place or to say that, hey, you know what, I'll give you a fortune if you can just sit quiet for 5 minutes. So, what did I do with all this energy? I channelized it into sports. So, track and field became my passion. And that's where I learned to play my best game or to be on the top of my game, and winning became an addiction. Now, when you
Hmm.
talk about any individual sport, it helps you to stay focused. Perseverance is a virtue, and it also helps you to learn to be fearless. So, transitioning from professional sports to corporate life was not very difficult for me. It just came in naturally because I saw work just like a field of sport. And as a curious child, I must tell you that I was so distracted. But if I look at what has that distraction given me, it helped me to build curiosity that fueled creativity in me. And even today, I know many of my friends will call me Jugadu Sajita because they know if there is a problem and they come to me, I will have a workaround. So, to sum it all, I can say that these early experiences from different phases of my life helped me to shape my mindset, or to stay fearless and also be agile.
Hmm. Hmm. It's amazing how life experiences actually prepare you for something bigger, right? Did you feel weighed down by all that responsibility? Like you said, being the older child and mom out working, and you probably also helped bringing up your siblings. If you remember back, do you feel like it was all in more fun way that you managed all of that, or did you feel like a tinge of responsibility that bothered you?
So I think a quick answer to your question is, did I feel the weight? Oh yes, I did. Initially, it was fun because you got to play that big sister wherein you could actually tell them what to do and they would listen to you, but then you realize as time goes by that you are giving up your playtime because you're
Mm,
doing so much of policing and the responsibility. Not that they asked me to do this or give up my playtime, but I think you just step into that role where you want to take over, you want to take charge, you want to ensure that they are safe, they get to eat, they get to sleep. And of course, we did have help around, but playing that live CCTV so that you could report everything back home when mom comes was not very easy. I can see that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember when I lost my dad, and suddenly it just felt that I had to just take care of everybody. My sister was married, and my mom was so dependent on dad, and I was just getting out of college, so I just felt like the elder of the family, and like sort of the head. I took that role on, and yeah, I felt like I had to do that too.
Yeah.
All right, so you are not now, I think you didn't pursue athletics. Was that a conscious decision, or life circumstances that led you to moving away from sports?
So sports was not something that I had planned either, nor if I talk about genetics, I could say that, I followed something that my parents did. I think one of the encouragement that I got to play whatever sport I chose was simply to keep me occupied, right? That's what a lot of parents do to deal with children with high on energy. Um, but I did well, and so much so that I did also have some wins at the junior nationals, and then
Oh,
was on the verge of making that decision to train for Asian Games. Um, at
okay.
that very peak of your career, right? You're growing up. There is maturity coming in, and you start thinking what you want to do. Right, coming
Mm,
from a household where parents are doing whatever they can to give you the best of education and with nobody to actually look upon, there is a lot of soul searching that happens. And that is what I was going through when I was 17, 18. And I realized that athletics could not give me a lot of money, but yes, I could get a government job and have a stable career.
mm,
When I started introspecting and asking myself, what do I want? Is that what I want? And the answer was very clear. I wanted more than that. So the decision and using the rule of elimination, it was very easy for me to decide that, I want to taper this down and I want to focus on education and get
sure.
into corporate life. So that's how I transitioned from professional sports to corporate.
Interesting. But wow, I mean, almost reached the Asian Games. That's a big feat indeed. Well done. All right. So then, you went into corporate. How did you land up in HR? Was that planned? Did you saw yourself going into HR initially, or was it more like a journey that led you to HR?
No, like I said, right, I didn't have anybody to guide me. I had no clue about, what kind of careers are open up. The only thing I knew at that time back in, 2000 or just before that was, you can graduate in commerce, arts, or science. And after I finished my BSc in physics, I wanted to pursue astrophysics. Now, astrophysics was not a subject in Mumbai University, and I had to leave for Pune, which my mother clearly said no. With your dad not being around and you being in a different city, and then me working and taking care of the kid, that's not happening. So that's not an option for you. So the next good thing for me to do was I didn't want to get married early before I could kind of settle on my career. So I started experimenting, Usha.
Mm-hmm.
I enrolled myself for a diploma in computer applications. I didn't like it, and that's the only course by far in my life which I have not completed. It was a clear no no, and I was clear that I can't code. I immediately enrolled for another diploma, which was interior designing, and I did well. I actually topped the college in the diploma, but then it wasn't a degree. And my mom said that, you would have to, in our limited knowledge and understanding of the world, right? So she said that I don't think, without a degree in that, you would be able to make it big. So look at something else. And I enrolled for my third diploma, which was my diploma in personal management and industrial relations at Narsi Monji. Now, while I was doing my third diploma, I started working with a small consulting organization. And while I was going through the job descriptions of the companies, um,
Mm.
and the resume of people who were applying, I had the privilege of having access to a plethora of formats of resumes, the job roles that people were taking, the careers that people were making, and
Mm.
combined with the course that I liked, that was the first step I took. And I said that the diploma is not going to take me anywhere. I like HR and I'm going to pursue my career in HR. Sat
Mm.
for my CET, cleared, and then did my master's. So that's how HR as a career happened to me after a good 2.5 years of experimentation.
Wow. And by then you are sort of sure what you want to do because you've already experimented so much. And that's what I think the young kids should do is actually try hands at few things and then arrive at what exactly excites them. And can stay with for rest of their careers, hopefully. But you know how things are changing, so you can't be certain that that's what you
But
will do your whole
if
career.
if I can just add to this, Usha, I think the biggest pressure that we get from our parents, family members, and friends around us, many a times it's easy for us to buckle down and say that, you know what, I wasted 2 years while the others have got a head start. But if you look at these experimenting years as investment, you know for sure, that you will be working in a space that you love. And I think I saw that over a period of time, I was able to make up for those slower 2 years and
Hmm.
catch up with the others. So it's okay to experiment and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And to each its own, right? Whatever works for you. I think that's a lot of us, like you said, with the pressure of our peers and family, and it feels like you're in running for a bus and you have to be on that bus to be successful, which is not the case. Um, I mean, we have become wiser in all these years working. So I'm a postgraduate in chemistry, and I have nothing to do with chemistry. I think most part of my career I had nothing to. So I did my stint with chemistry in my work was 3 months, and I got bored thoroughly. As much as I loved the subject, 3 months in a lab, just I got over chemistry. I was like, I can't be doing this, and I moved to sales of all the things. So good. All right. So now, as I was listening to the way you articulate your journey, and of course, I mean, you have only shared the initial part of how you got into HR, and when we were talking, you shared the whole journey. Uh, but I could sense a lot of conviction um, through which you make those decisions, right? And you also strongly have a sense of manifesting what you want in your life. Tell us about that a little bit more.
So I owe everything that I learned on the ground, falling down, picking myself up from my coaches. So it's a fact that there are no shortcuts in life, right? Having that clarity about what you want and how do you want to do it, especially from the sports background, gave me a lot of perseverance. And I remember my mum telling us that while we were growing up,
Mm.
saying that "tan padi devam padi." It's a phrase in Malayalam. So if you just
Yeah.
literally translate it, it just means that you do your bit and leave the rest to God. If I want to club that belief and hard work with the exercise of visualization that I learned from what a coach used to make us do before we start every race. He used
Mm.
to ask us to close your eyes, take a deep breath, you need to visualize that you're getting a great start. Okay, so my event was 100 meters and long jump. So start for me is everything. So if I don't get that push and great start, it's difficult for me to pull through in the between, right? So
Mm.
visualize you're having a great start, visualize you're having that energy where you're pulling through the last 25 meters, and that you're the first one to finish the race, right? And this visualization was so simple and it was ingrained in me that I applied it to every phase of my life. It's like if you want something very badly, work hard, manifest, and the universe will send angels to, kind of come true. And if I have to fast forward a few years, this is during the time when I was setting up all the food courts in the country. I was literally living out of a suitcase. And one day when I come home, my husband sat me down and he said that, look, I can't do this alone. We need to raise a healthy child. And I think it was only fair, you know, for what he said. And he did everything he could to support me and my ambitions. And the next day when I was driving back home um, from Worli with tears in my eyes, I didn't have the courage to take a break in my career. Yet I wanted to be there for my child. And while I crossed Nirlawn Knowledge Park, which is very close to my home, I just looked at the gate and I said that, oh my God, there are so many companies here. So why can't I just, get an interview call from here? I went back home. I spent that evening updating my resume, um, and then making a few phone calls. And trust me, I just like magic, I got two phone calls the next day from the same Nirlawn Knowledge Park to come for interview. So what
Wow.
was it? Was it desperation that pushed me to refine my resume to look the best? Was it reaching out to the right consultants who had the right kind of openings? I have no clue. This is nothing short of magic, but visualization, hard work, and a little bit of faith. It works for me very well.
That's amazing. Fun fact, I used to work at Nilon Knowledge Park once upon a time.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was a long ride for me from eastern side of Mumbai to west. But yeah,
So if you believe in magic, I can say one more thing. I worked for a good 16 years with Oracle, and when I was leaving that place, right, I manifested again, and I said that there are so many companies. Why can't I just finish my career here? And you won't believe it, Usha. My next job came from the same building where I was working. So I'm housed out of our tech park, which is again just behind the Oracle building. So 20 years, same location, just close to my home.
fantastic. I'll keep doing that. Hopefully that continues, Sajita. All right. So, getting into your HR career a little bit, and you've shaped cultures across multiple organizations, be it in IT, retail, consulting, even. And what, according to you, makes a people-centric organization? Uh, what are the aspects that are crucial to build an organization?
It's a great question. When I started my career and the way I saw HR transform or what the role of HR was, it was to build safe uh, workplaces with great policies and great perks. But
Mhm.
today, when I look back, uh, in my experience, being truly people centric goes way beyond all of these basics. It starts by leading with empathy, leaders having the courage for having crucial conversations while we uphold respect for each other. Yeah? Pair that respect and that boldness to have open conversations with a culture that experiments, that encourages experimentation, having that mindset of fail fast and iterate fast model, we
Mhm.
end up creating an environment where people feel safe to innovate, because innovation is your differentiator. that will make your organization stand out. So it's very important to make people feel safe to innovate. And
Yeah.
as leaders, I've heard this so many times from great leaders and, great bosses who shape me, that it is our moral responsibility to groom talent. You
Yeah.
see, having a great appraisal cycle and spotting potential is not enough. What are you doing to mentor them? Are you able to provide them with opportunities without prejudice and fear that you will not have that limelight if your team member grows, bigger than you? If you keep all this aside, we build trust and loyalty because people matter, and
Yeah.
there is no organization without them. In every product organization, this is the statement or the line that is very popular: happy employees create great products, which lead to happy customers that brings in more money and makes the business thrive. So I've
Yeah.
seen these in lived moments, where people acknowledge these unsaid things of how important it is to uphold respect, give them the headroom for failing during farewells, and that is a time when silence speaks volume. So you stand there wanting to share something about how the person who's leaving you has transformed your life. And that's the legacy of great organizations. When people leave, they leave
Yeah.
organizations with people who are better and stronger than they are. So that's true leadership for me.
Yeah. So agree with you. But there are also leaders who don't always get it right. You know, what according to you are those gaps that you have seen in your journeys? That what do leaders often get wrong when they're fostering a culture like that? Well, the intent is that, but not quite there yet.
So I think it's the pressure which a lot of people succumb to, pressure of delivering fast, pressure of delivering big. And in that pressure, a lot of people underestimate the patience that is required for innovation. Innovation just doesn't, we're not working in factories. We're talking about ideas coming in from people, right? So if you expect quick wins, uh, creativity may take its own time, right? So failure needs to be looked at as stepping stones, not as setbacks. And that headroom to err is very important. And that's when, people, great products are made. Another common mistake that often people, do or they don't invest in is critical feedback. Yeah. Nobody has that extra time to give that crucial feedback to people and groom them. But, can you just think about it, okay? Innovation is deeply human,
Yeah.
and unmanaged emotions can spiral into cynicism and self doubt with your workforce, which can literally, kill productivity. Yeah. And leaders must coach their teams to manage their emotions as well,
Hmm.
so that they do the same to their teams, right? So it has a spiral effect. So one, it is about how they manage their emotions, how they manage their people's emotion, and teach them to manage emotions of team members. And today when we talk about super hyper complex organizations, right, trust and transparency are non-negotiable. Gone are those days when you say that this is what it is, just do it. Purpose driven conversations are extremely important. Therefore, we need to be acknowledging the fact that all the workforce that comes into our office, they bring in invisible battles to work, right? And if
Yeah.
we fail to read these emotions and read the tea leaves, take that time to pause, give the time to the other person to breathe, it does not help that person, and you lose that moment, you lose that high potential employee, and you lose that uh, creative source. So, a great mix of tolerance, empathy, and openness is what fuels cultures of innovation. So these are very soft aspects, not taught, but these are skills that need to be honed.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. The invisible battles are definitely uh, not spoken, and but you have to find a way to get to understand that. And I also think, Sajita, and I'm quite passionate about choosing the role wisely. Right? I think choosing to be a leader of people is such a big decision that shouldn't be made lightly. Just because if somebody has to get ahead in career, well, that is important, but I always feel that you're not just impacting that one person that you're leading, when I say one-on-one interactions in a group, but you're actually impacting that person's family. So if something goes wrong here, you're actually taking that back, the emotion, like you said, back home, their extended family. So it's just that effect, it has a domino effect, and you could impact in a good or bad way so many different people. So that power that you have with you when you are leading people is immense, and I think you have to act responsibly, I feel, and I take that very seriously in that role.
Now, I can just give an analogy over here. As parents, when we are raising children, there is a time when, you give way to your child to walk before you, right?
Mhm.
When the children are small, we lead them. But then there is a time when we allow them to lead us. And I think leadership is something like that, right? At some point of time, when you see those outstanding, resources who are better than you, it's always good to be that guiding force, but shrinking, and allowing them to grow is a is what makes a great leader.
True. All right. So on that note, you also often talk about purposeful leadership. I think one just kind of alluded to that a little bit. How has your sense of purpose evolved over the years in your in industry?
So when I started my career, my focus was on learning, and I didn't have a roadmap, but I
Mm.
knew I had to lead. And I think that comes from playing the individual sport, right? Ask any one of us, we don't like to come second, right? So leading comes very naturally, or probably that's what the sport demands from you. And I needed to build my T-shaped skills, right? If I had to lead. So that was told to me, and honing the depth of HR and the breadth across all the sub functions
Mhm.
was crucial for growing. So the first 5 years, the way I look at it was about knowledge. The next 5 years was about using that knowledge and basically developing your skills. And then it was honing the craft. In the last decade, my purpose or my perspective shifted completely. And I began asking, why am I doing what am I doing? And that pause helped me to look beyond processes and understand business deeply and support the business with cause, right? So there was a time I remember asking my boss, very confused, we are HR. So are we not for the people? Why are we standing on the other side and talking, for the business? And I think that line blurred. And there was a time when we were sitting on the fence. But I
Mm.
think today in an advisory position, right, it's about supporting the business, advising them on how they can grow while you keep your hygienes in place, right? Because you are supporting a lot of livelihood also. So I think I moved from chasing best practices to co creating solutions and experiences with stakeholders. That's how cultures evolve through partnership and intentionality. Today, my North Star is purposeful leadership. I keep
Mm.
asking, are you doing right things or doing the things right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And there's immense fulfillment when goals and outcomes are purpose driven, because you're not just executing, you're authoring impact.
That is profound. That's going to stay with me for a while, Sajita. Thank you.
I'm happy.
All right, switching gears a little bit. You've been at the forefront of the evolution of HR tech. How do you see technology, uh, or what role do you see technology play in the future of work?
Well, tech is evolving at neck breaking speed. And I think sometime when we were talking about it, every 6 months you see a change in technology, a new app, a new way of doing things. It's no longer a choice, right? With shrinking attention spans, rising demand of speed from our users, right? They are driving outcomes. So,
Mm,
real time data analytics and self service are no longer a luxury, they are table stakes. That's what I can say. And over the 2 decades, or the 2.5 decades, I have witnessed HR transform at every stage of the employee life cycle. So, gone are the days when, we used to run to sign the attendance musters, right?
mm,
Today we're talking about geotagging. Yeah, there's no rush. You talk to your children, they have no clue. Why would someone cut half a day of your salary if you are late to office by 5 minutes thrice a month?
yeah,
From there, we've moved to class, and if I hadn't need to switch from there to classroom trainings, right? Today we don't. It's very difficult to get people in the room, right? So we've moved from there to nuggets or micro learnings, as we say, from table portals or desktop portals to mobile apps, right? So that's a transition I have seen over the last 2.5 decades. And I was fortunate to be a part of the first global rollout of Oracle HCM.
mhm,
And as a customer today, when I see the product, and I see how it has matured, it makes me so proud. Something that we worked on 10 years back. Every time you work on a product, you're thinking how things are going to change in the next 5 years. So it's so futuristic. And looking ahead, the game changers will be completely AI driven. Super personalization, predictive analytics, workforce planning, that can be done based on all these tools, right?
mm,
It's amazing to see how platforms are integrating blended learning and mixing that with gamification and engaging employees completely. And now we are talking about how can we also bring in well-being or employee well-being into all these things, right? So
yeah,
tech is actually changing the face of how people, the way people are evolving, tech is evolving, and we need to keep pace with it. Yeah. So I think the real shift will be towards human centric design, which
mm,
is
yeah,
powered by intelligent automation. So I think that's where HR is moving to. And I see that among all the support functions, HR as a function is always ready to embrace tech, because that's going to lead the future of work.
yeah, yeah. I sense that. I think probably HR got into it a little late, but I think the velocity at which the change is happening is pretty drastic. But do you feel a sense of um, skepticism, or is there a chance of losing the humaneness in HR when there is so much of technology around us?
So it's a yes and a no. And just like people say that, oh, AI is coming, I'm going to lose my job. It's not like that, right? There are lot of it's about working smart. So can you identify and bucket all your mundane activities which actually does not need face time? Then yes, push that and use tech for that. You can use service tickets, close a lot of queries faster, sitting anywhere across the world. But then your front ending roles, right, which are very specific, that will continue to remain with people, because I don't think a machine can do that. Okay. Today also, when you
Yeah.
want to talk to someone, you would prefer to talk to a person rather than talking to a bot, right? So what's important is to differentiate the work that can be done by the machine smarter and faster, and where we need to hone our humaneness and maintain that. And I think it's a very clear differentiator, and organizations who continue to do that have great cultures and values and are able to anchor their employees better.
Awesome. I'm fascinated by how HR talks technology sometimes. Like I have some friends who can talk business and technology in the same breath. It's fascinating. Um, okay, so shifting to another kind of purpose that I know you have is to mentor women leaders. And I think you almost are pursuing that with a lot of passion and a mission as well. So A, how did you get into that? And B, what kind of challenges have you seen women go through these days, and what needs to change around us to make things better? I don't want to sound like cliche, like because hey, let's talk about women empowerment, but sometimes you feel that there's still such a long way to go.
Absolutely. Okay. So I was on a jury panel today with another platform which was only for women, and the same question was asked over there, which said that, why are we doing programs only for women? And I think the answer to that question is that there is still a lot of gap, right? And lot of people are doing things to bridge that gap. So yes, is there a gap? Yes, there is a gap. Okay. How did I get into it? I uh, it's very funny, right? When you reach um, a phase of life in your professional career, right? There is a time when you pause and you ask yourself, what do I want to do? And the answer for me was, I want to impact lives.
Mhm.
My personal life or my professional life had a lot of ups and downs. And I had so many people, Usha, who stepped in to support me. And I'm so thankful and grateful. Today, when I look back, I'm like, I couldn't have done it without them. So I think it all started with that simple feeling of, gratitude. And I said, let me do what I can do. It started very small like that. And, that's how the whole thing became a purpose of my life. So whether it is taking taking classes for women across different platforms, or walking into a college for a session or to be on a panel. I also volunteer with the prison ministry. So, it's not only about women, but it is about service. It is
Mm.
about the knowledge that you have, how is it that it can be made useful to others. So, all my work stems in from a very simple thought of giving back. Now, coming to, what are the gaps, or what are those specific challenges, right? Because I deal more with women, or I interact more with women, um, I'm not surprised when I hear more resilience from, their stories.
Yeah.
So there are challenges, but despite the challenges, they come out as winners, right? And they don't realize that the power lies within them. Women are
Mm.
the bedrock of humankind's existence, and there's no doubt about it. So, what holds many of us back from reaching the top is not really the lack of ability, but it's often some deeply rooted human emotions, right? The fear
Mm.
of hurting the people we love, the inability to say no, or not being heard, some kind of discrimination, microaggressions that we have experienced in our lives,
Mm.
and enduring unwarranted hardships. So, all of these make us, kind of shrink. And it's not that they can't do things, but it's probably a self limiting belief that many, many of them carry. What we can do is allow all of them to blossom, women and men alike. All of them deserve love. respect, equity, and cerebral opportunity. And I think we need cultures where people hear more of us and say that it's okay, I've got your back. So simple kindness is great to,
Mm.
support people and boost their confidence. It's okay to feel low or sad or bad, but how soon can we help these people to come out of these feelings? That's important. And therefore, we need to
Yeah.
systematically help or build a community where we systematically help such people in need and create workplaces that are unbiased, inclusive, and psychologically safe, where saying no does not cost you your career and where mentorship and sponsorship
Mm.
becomes the norm. So I owe my life to all of them who shaped me, my mentors, my coaches, and even those who were very hard on me. So every interaction has taught me something. My mission is simply to pass on those learnings and strengthen women to stand 2 inches taller. That's my purpose.
And you're doing it in such a fabulous way, Sajita. So yeah, I've seen that happen with my own eyes. So thank you for doing that. And hopefully it grows bigger and has much more impact in the coming years. Story time. Um, so tell us a story in your from your career that really shaped you as a leader, that maybe deeply challenged you and uh, left an impact on who you are as a leader.
Absolutely. One of the most defining leadership lessons in my career came from the shortest stint that I've had, and that was with Future Group, where I was
Okay.
tasked with setting up food courts all across, the length and breadth of India. I was excited. One, because I got a role that was 2 levels higher than the market. Two, they gave me the money that I had asked for, but I had no idea what a food court was or how to build one. The first lesson came directly from the then CHRO, Mr. Sanjay Jog, and Kishore Bayani himself, where they saw a perplexed me sitting on the table when we were strategizing something, and they said, "Sajita, just own it." They just told me, "We know you will make it happen. We are here to support in case you need us." And their confidence in me lit the fire. I stepped out of my comfort zone, spent tireless hours understanding the business, the people, and hired the first set of employees for Phoenix Mills. That was the first place where the food court was set up. And on the opening day, just an hour before the launch, the team was nervous, and our trainer was struggling to give instructions. All I could see was, there are so many people. It was like an ocean of people over there, and the trainer trying to kind of, give them a set of instruction. I saw a table, I climbed on top of that table. I just took charge and rallied the staff around me. It may seem very unconventional, but in that moment, I really had no time to think of what people will think of me. Is it appropriate for me to do what I am doing? But in that moment, it was needed, right? It was needed to calm them down. The staff was ready, and the VIP guest walked in to a perfectly prepared team. And I think that experience taught me that leadership is about ownership, it is about courage, it is about having the ability to energize people when it matters the most, right? Showing them
Yeah.
the light. That's our job. It changed my approach to leading, and I learned that confidence is contagious. Even if you sometimes you just show that you're confident even if you're not, and it can be contagious, right? And that's how the team just gets ready to kind of do their bit. So when you show it, others rise with you.
Couldn't agree more. Somebody placing confidence in you when you are at your lowest, probably is a game changer. It has happened with me, and and when you then actually pay that forward is
Absolutely.
where you are creating multiple uh multiple leaders. And isn't it fantastic? Like we feel nowadays food court is just always there. It was always there. It just has become part of a life, and you are at the forefront of actually creating food courts. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we just created plug and play models. And, when I look back at it, uh, it was an amazing experience, right? I learned one more thing over there is to challenge people. So often the operations team used to put pressure on me and say that, this location, Ahmedabad is ready, your hiring is not done. And I say, I'm going to go to Ahmedabad tomorrow to see how much, what is your readiness? And then I will push my team to, close the hiring. So standing up, challenging, uh, people, getting out of your comfort zone, it was amazing. And I'm ever, ever grateful to that opportunity.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely shaped you as a human as well as I think as a leader. And when when you're actually in the sort of the startup stage of anything, you are pretty much hands on with everything, right? That's happening in that organization. So those experiences are priceless. Well, thanks for sharing that story, Sajita. Any last thoughts for the leaders who are listening to us right now? How can they create a people-centric organization? What kind of do's and don'ts that you would leave behind if you had to for our leaders to take back?
So in this is clearly coming from my heart and from my experience. And I just feel that one shift leaders must make is moving from a control and predict mindset to a sense of respond mindset. The future
Mm.
demands agility, trust, collaboration, and not rigid hierarchies. Right. So lead with generosity. This is amazing when you see how people just step in and support you, but you need to lead with generosity. Our experiences matters, and it will matter the most when we are able to help build the future. So as leaders, our role is to ignite the next generation and support them in taking this transformation forward, right? And never hesitate to hire people smarter than you. And this is something I've heard Jack Ma also say, right, on how he built his empire. Never shy away
Yeah.
from hiring people who are smarter than you. And these are sentiments that, stay with me will stay with me for a very long time. We are only as strong or weak as the collective strength of our teams. So replace the know it all attitude with a growth mindset. Think of leadership, as a tango. So there are times when we take two steps forward and then we need to allow others to take two steps forward, and that's how the whole, um, purpose driven organizations can be built. So use trust, challenge the status quo, prioritize people first approaches while you are meeting organization goal. I understand organization priorities and organization outcomes are bigger than anything, but while we do that, we should always follow the people first approach. Do not settle for anything that is easy or where there are past precedents. Instead, why don't we create new paths through innovation?
Well, thank you. Um, so in nutshell, create more leaders, hire the right people, and get out of their way to do allow them to do their stuff, and then continue to challenge the status quo. Thank you so much, Sajita, for joining me on Tales of Teens. It has been wonderful having you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your life journey.
Thank you. Pleasure is always mine, Usha. Thank you for inviting me.
Gosh. Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Sajita is a tall leader. I have seen her build herself up brick by brick through various forums. And I think all of us can do that. But I'll leave you with that. This is probably our last episode for 2025. I wish you a very happy new year, and we'll see you soon in 2026 with yet another leader and yet another beautiful conversation. Take care of yourself and keep leading.